Welcome to Bokeh, a podcast exploring the ever-blurring lines between the personal and business lives of professional photographers. This is your host, Nathan Holritz, and I'm so excited to have you join me in connecting with photographers and entrepreneurs in the photography industry as we discuss photography, building a business, and still having a life through it all. This podcast is brought to you by Photographers Edit, custom post-production for the wedding and portrait photographer. And now, let's dive into conversation. We're live, officially. Well, yet again, as live as we can be when we're sitting here with a recorder in your living room. But I'm with my good friend, Nicole Goddard, and I feel like I've known you for years and years and years.
It's true.
Yeah, but I have the privilege of knowing you as a friend and as a photographer in the industry. And as I said to you before we got started, the thing that I really wanted to focus in on today, we don't even have that much time together. I have to run to the airport, but is this topic of creating freedom for yourself as a photographer. Now, that fits the Photographers Edit brand, but I think this is applicable to really any photographer in the industry. I think one of the major benefits of being an entrepreneur is the freedom, the flexibility that you can have, and yet so many photographers don't actually capitalize on that. Anyway, I'm talking too much. Hello, Nicole.
Hi, Nathan. Thanks for having me here.
No, I love this. It's so informal. We're sitting on a couch in our living room and just having conversation, which is really what I want this podcast to be about, just very real conversations. But seriously, you've got so much to offer with regards to this topic of creating freedom. Tell me, first of all, tell everyone a little bit about your business, where you're based, what you do, and then let's dive into what you've done in the last year or so.
Sure. So I'm based here in Venice Beach, California. I've been in business for 15 years. It's hard to believe how time has flown by. I've been full-time for maybe 8 years. I started pretty much in college. And
do you have a photography degree?
Yeah. So I have a Bachelor's of Fine Arts in Photography from the University of Washington up in Seattle. I moved down to LA in 2007 for the simple reason of sunshine, and I have family down here. So the transition made it really easy for me. And I'm here and I'm super happy, and I try to set, awesome intentions every year, and I somehow managed to achieve those. And what else were you asking me?
Well, you're doing a combination of wedding and portrait photography.
Yeah. So I specialize in weddings and lifestyle portraits. I really love environmental portraits. Those really speak to me. I love the psychology behind it. I love finding the beautiful light and composition. All that gets me really excited. But I do a ton of weddings. Actually, not a ton of weddings. That's my bread and butter. That's what I do mostly. But I'm trying to make them not as much every year, and focus on other things that excite me. So, and my new website actually is going to be launching today or tomorrow.
Whoa,
I'm really
no
excited.
way.
I just need to get a few things to my web developer guys. So super excited about that. Yeah.
So you sent me a picture, I think, 2 days ago of you with Tony Robbins. You shoot weddings, you shoot portraits, families and so forth, but you also do some commercial work.
I do some commercial work, some celebrities, some that happened to be a corporate event. It was the groundbreaking ceremony for the Los Angeles Stadium, and my client is the Bank of California, who has the naming rights for the stadium, and it was a last minute gig. I got call their PR guy called me like 3 days before the event, was frantic. Are you available Tuesday morning? I'm like, what are you talking about? What are you doing? I'm leaving for Burning Man in a few days. I don't know if I have time. He's like, you have to do this. This is one in a lifetime opportunity. You have to come and do this. I'm like, okay, Ron, I'll make it work. I'll make it work, And then I get all like the breakdown of what I'm shooting, and my jaw's dropping. I'm like, ooh, I gotta shoot Tony Robbins. I just watched his movie on Netflix. I was so happy about that. And Magic Johnson, Will Ferrell, funny man Will Ferrell. I was pretty much 5 feet away from him the whole time. And some congresswoman was there, a lot of political people were there, and it was really exciting, I don't like corporate events. I think they're really boring, but when you're around a lot of inspirational people and, people who, are celebrities, but more like people who are making a difference, that gets me excited. So to be able to do that. And I just went up to Tony Robbins and I was just like, I overheard him talking about the movie on Netflix and I just butted in. I'm like, oh my God, I just watched it 2 weeks ago. I was so moved. I cried a lot. He's like, well, I hope you laughed too. I'm like, every emotion came out, you know? So yeah, that was fun. I got a picture with him.
Yeah.
He's massive.
And I think we talked about that documentary briefly too in text or something at one point. Same way for me, that there was certainly, it was entertaining, but my goodness, it was extremely emotional. What he does is really powerful. But I think what's cool is you're a very intuitive person when it comes to the idea of energy that other people exude. I can only imagine the two of you guys in the same space, the amount of, because the positive energy, if you will, that he exudes is just mind-blowing, right?
Right. I try to rub off, I got to hug him, so I'm like rubbing his good, mojo energy. And, I've been kind of buzzing since, so I think it definitely is everlasting when you meet that man, even just for 20 seconds. But it was interesting photographing him. I've never photographed somebody who has so much light in their eyes and who is genuinely happy to be alive and to be thriving. And I swear when he was up on stage and they were doing the big reveal, and there were so many of us photographers, there was media, there was Getty, there were other private, I was the private photographer for Bank of California. But for some reason, I felt like he was looking at my camera a lot, but I think he was doing that to everybody. He just has a way to connect with people like nobody else. And that's freaking cool. Yeah. So
and it doesn't feel fake.
No, right. No. Yeah. Right. It doesn't feel like it's contrived or fake at all. It felt like it came from a genuine spot in his heart, and that was really freaking cool. So, and
that makes, I remember from years in photography, the times that I got to photograph people who had that type of positive energy about them, where you felt like you were actually getting to connect with the real them, soul, if you will. Yeah, the soul of them, if you will. Mm-hmm. That experience is so much more enjoyable.
Oh yeah, it's about that versus the technical aspects of the photography. I think it's more about the connection, and that's what kind of feeds my soul, is when I can actually connect with others. But I was nervous around him. I just didn't know what to say. I was just like, oh my gosh, and he's like he doesn't judge people, and I know that about him. And I wanted to come off in a good light, and I was nervous, and I don't get nervous around celebrities, but with him, I don't know. I was just, he's such a hero of mine, Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
Well, take us back, I don't know, it's been about, 8 months, a year or so ago, when you made this proactive decision to free yourself up, even more than you already did. You're moving around pretty consistently, and you've created a pretty free lifestyle for yourself as a business owner, but you made a more concerted decision to free yourself up even more than you already were, and travel even more, in a way that many people would be envious, even entrepreneurs who are maybe get to travel on an occasional basis. You created this lifestyle for yourself in the last 6 months to a year or so that's pretty incredible.
Thanks.
So take us through that journey, kind of where it started, and then how you set everything up in your business to enable you to be able to do that.
Sure. So it was sparked off 1 year ago, almost today. And it was my first journey up to Burning Man in Black Rock City, Nevada. My life changed and transformed. It was definitely the most transformational week of my life. I know that sounds cliche. Everybody says that, but it's true. The art, the connections, the people I met, it was very hard up there, but I learned a lot about myself, and I could trust myself even more.
When you say it was hard, what do you mean?
It was hard. The conditions are hard up there. It gets really hot during the day, really cold at night. You have to, you're self-reliant. You have to bring all your own stuff up there, your water, your food, your clothing, your home, everything. And so it's challenging, but all the excitement and the positives that the playa has to offer outweighs anything that could be negative, because you can just focus on what is instead of what's not. So that was kind of set the tone for 2016 for me. So from there, I met these wonderful, beautiful people and started connecting with them and engaging with them throughout the year, whether it was going to little music festivals or just having weekend gatherings or playing music on the beach or dancing. I started dancing a lot. I got really into electronic music. I never liked that. I'm from Seattle. I'm from like the Nirvana and Pearl Jam days, like the grunge. And now I'm just like really into like this beat of electronic music. And so I started kind of playing a lot, I never played or in my 20s, I was so focused on my career. And then I just started seeing, knowing how life is so fragile, I started losing people in my life and just wanted to embrace it and know that our life on this planet is like a flash in the pants. So I just want to bring in more joy and excitement and fun to my life. So January 2016, I actually got really sick for about a week and a half. And I was laying here on my couch where I'm sitting with you right now, and I'm looking at my office across my house, and I just didn't want to go in there anymore. I just wanted to go explore more. And so I set my intentions to glow, flow, and grow. That was kind of like what I wanted to do. I wanted to go out there and glow. And then, if I'm glowing, if I'm doing me, just being me and seeing the world the way I see it, and then flowing into that glow, right? So I'm just flowing wherever the wind blows me and then growing from it. So I'm becoming the better me and helping other people along. I want to help inspire people. And so with that, that was January. In order for me to go to more music festivals and travel more, financially, I wanted to be responsible with that. So I had to, in order to do that, I was going to have to take on a lot less work. So I was going to cut my work in half.
Whoa.
Living in Venice Beach is expensive.
Absolutely.
My rent is really expensive. So how am I going to do that? I got a roommate. I haven't had a roommate in 10 years, in a really long time. And so I took my office out of my room, converted it back into a bedroom. I have an extra bathroom, and I got a roommate, which has alleviated a lot of any financial stress. So I have a lease with him for a year, and he's become one of my best friends. So that it all worked out. We found each other on Facebook, and we had 28 friends in common. I called a bunch of friends, vetted him, and boom, he's in here. He's actually on the way up to Burning Man right now. So we become good friends, and it's as simple as that. I cut my living expenses in half, so therefore I could work half. It's not that hard. I started buying experiences versus things. I go thrift store shopping for my clothing, and my clothing has never been cooler than before. It's like,
you still happen to be in this retro trend that just absolutely fits, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's been exciting and fun, and definitely like some hard parts, but not that many. I don't know.
But you made, and I think this is a theme that I'm seeing in the various conversations that I'm having with photographers for this podcast, is the notion of proactivity, right? It's many times just simple proactive steps to make change that do the trick. And in your case, you made a simple, very practical choice.
Very practical.
To cut your living expenses, which then enabled you to be able to shoot less and then travel more. So what was the first big trip that you took?
I actually went with a group of 14 people. 4 of us were photographers. And we went to Scandinavia and the Arctic. So we went up to Finland and Lapland, Finland, and saw the Aurora Borealis dancing the night away. We stayed in those igloos, those glass igloos, and I'm sure a lot of you have seen them online. They went viral a little while ago, and it was pretty magical.
Where you're literally just laying in bed and you can look up and see the lights, right?
Yeah, however, all of us were so busy being outside taking photos that by the time we got back in the igloos, we were all so tired, and I just went to sleep. And the night stopped dancing. It went black, and so I wish I had more nights in the igloos, but really I was so focused on getting these epic photos, and I'm really into yoga. And I had one of the girls do some yoga underneath the Aurora Borealis. It was magical. And then I went to Denmark, Copenhagen, and then I went to Stockholm, Sweden. So places I never thought I would ever go, but I had this opportunity, and I said yes. To me, this year is almost like the year of yes, right? I'm just like doing. People ask me to do stuff. I'm like, okay, it's getting out of my comfort zone. Okay, let's do it. Let's go. I'm in. And that's unique. I've been a little bit more conservative with decision making, and now I'm just like jumping on board to so many different things.
And what of the major, like if you were to pick, say, 2 or 3 benefits of kind of letting go a little bit and just living, what would you say the benefits were, personally or professionally?
I don't know. Letting go of trying to be perfect or trying to like please other people all the time, because that's impossible. And just just continuing trying to find my inner voice. And I don't know if that answers your question.
It seems like connection seems to be a theme too. I mean, you're getting to travel and have these incredible experiences. But
yeah, it is. I think it's more about the people you're with and more about the friendships that I've made, and constantly connecting with them. I mean, even having a roommate here, like I'm usually never alone. This last day, this is the first time I've been alone in my place for a while, and that's actually nice. It's nice to have that balance. I think the goal is to always have a balance between, a healthy work life, but even a healthier personal life.
Would you say you made this practical decision to cut expenses so that you could travel more? Were there certain things that you did in your workflow, the way that you run your business, interact with your clients, that freed you up a little bit as well? Did you
let me actually back up.
Sure.
I also saved a lot of money over the last many years. I'm very wise with my spending and really wise with saving. So it's not just it's not just cutting my expenses in half. It's also, and it's not even genuinely in half. I'm still paying more because I have more space here than he does. But it's more of having kind of tapping into my savings account, and I'm perfectly fine doing that. I think we have to live for the now, still plan for the future, but I think live for the now is most important, because you never know what's around the corner. You never know what's going to happen tomorrow. But as far as systems go, I have I keep it simple. I have a really awesome Excel sheet that, for every shoot that I have these checklists that I do. Right currently, because I'm taking so little shoots on, I am doing my own edits. But, once I get busier, I will be outsourcing that again, like I have in the past. But for now, when I actually do get to edit it, to me, it's a little meditative for me. So I don't cringe doing it, just because I'm not shooting as much. And I'm doing really, I've never been quicker. My turnaround for weddings have been 3 weeks lately. And I used to be 3 to 6 months. I just did not know how to handle it. And just being more efficient, and my quality has increased a lot from that too. I think possibly because I'm even more happy, in my life. That's cool. So, yeah. And
how do you handle communication with your clients when you're on the road? Do you...
Everything, however they want to communicate with me, I'm open to it.
Okay.
Whether it's texting or Facebook Messenger, I don't care. I don't really set I know you set a lot of boundaries with that, and I think that's great for some people, but I'm really kind of open to communication pretty much at all hours. But if I don't answer, it's because I'm sleeping or because I'm doing other things, and that's fine, and people know I have a life outside of work, obviously. So I don't know. I think just setting expectations to my clients are really important.
It's interesting you mentioned that word, because that's what I was thinking of.
What's
too.
that?
Do you create expectations? So how do you create those expectations for the clients? Do you kind of give them a heads up ahead of time? Hey, this is how I handle communication. This is the kind of time frame that you may wait to hear back from me. Or
no, not really. I think it's kind of, some of it's within my actions. But yeah, I do mention time frames of when things are going to be done, or where I'm at right now. I'm like, hey, I'm leaving town. I just got this text message earlier today from a client whose engagement photo shoot I did, and they wanted me to do a more refined edit on one of the photos, get rid of her bra strap, and it took her a while to get back to me, and I said, I'm actually leaving town on Saturday, and I'm back, the 7th. I will handle this when I get back, and she was great. She's like, okay, it took her a long time to get back to me, and so I'm just really clear with them, It's not, I don't think it's that hard.
I love it. I love that you're keeping it simple. That's perfect.
Yeah,
that's beautiful.
Keeping it as simple as I possibly can. And I outsource my album design. I don't do any of that. I just placed an order yesterday for an album. So I don't know.
So you're getting ready to go to Burning Man now. You were actually showing me just a few minutes ago this.
It's called
what's it called?
It's called a swamp bucket. And basically it's an DIY air conditioning unit that can reduce my tent by 10 to 20 degrees. So
yeah, it looks like a bucket that you just run to Home Depot.
It is a Home Depot bucket.
Yeah.
And then it has cooling pads. It has a computer fan, like a high powered computer fan, a water pump. And I'm not an engineer by any means, and I don't really know exactly how it works, and I'm going to bring all the parts, and my roommate's going to help me because he's so good at this and I just can't necessarily figure out myself. But yeah, it's kind of fun. It's been fun to create things that I've never done before, and this is one of those. So
that's really incredible. So you're going to go to Burning Man. Are you going to continue this lifestyle? Do you see yourself doing this for an extended period of time? Or?
And that's the beauty, is the unknown, right? Like you can set your intentions and stuff. That's all you can really do. I don't know. 3 weeks after, I'm going to another little festival called Symbiosis, which is on a water reserve. So it's going to be lovely and beautiful, and I'll be able to swim and stuff to cool down out there. And I think that's like a 30 or 40,000 person festival.
Wow.
Yeah, it's versus 70 at 70,000 at Burning Man. Burning Man's not a festival. Let's be very clear with that. And then I'm booked every weekend until November. So whether it's a wedding or going to see my family in Seattle, or going up to San Francisco twice. I just booked a little elopement in Napa. So I'm busy, but it makes me all really happy because it's doing stuff that I love.
I love it. It's a beautiful balance too.
Thanks. I think that's the key, is balance. I think balance and connections, and love, like that. Those are 3 words that I'm constantly, going for or acting upon.
I talked in our last podcast episode. I was speaking with my friend Katie, and we were talking about this idea of balance. It's a funny word because it is very arbitrary. It's very subjective. But for you, what does that mean? Especially in this lifestyle, which is very unique for most photographers. The notion of cutting their business or their expenses in half and cutting back in business and going and traveling. That's a like, it would just blow their minds to even consider going that direction.
Well, everybody has different lifestyles, and it's all in perspective. Like, I'm not married. I don't have children. All I have to do is take care of myself. And to me, it's not hard because I have that accessibility of being able to go wherever that I want to go and not have a responsibility for a pet, for a child, for a husband, any of that as far as right now. Don't get me wrong, that's something I want in the future, but for now, that's just not happening for me. So I got a little like worked up about that last year, and so I decided that was one of the reasons why I started glowing, flowing, and growing, because I put all this effort into dating, and now I'm just like, well, if I just be me and go out into the world, I'm meeting more people organically than I ever have before. Versus
when you're not forcing
when I'm not forcing it, and that's been a beautiful thing. And I've made lovely connections with people of all sorts. So I forget what your original question was.
Well, we were just talking about the idea of balance, because balance, I think, typically people, you think about kind of that old school scale, right, where it balances. You have an equal amount, in this case, personal, and equal amount business.
Yeah.
And the reality is it does, as you say, look different for everyone.
Everybody, yeah. I would say my personal life definitely outweighs my business life right now.
I love that.
Definitely. It's more like, I don't know, 60-40 or something.
But you're not just being flippant about your business. You've been very proactive and intelligent in the way that you've created some structure for it. You've been smart with your finances. And so, again, that notion of proactivity, you've very purposefully created this lifestyle for yourself that allows you the freedom to be able to prioritize your personal life and connecting with people and traveling.
Yeah, I think,
and not stressing about the business
I think
side.
One of the keys is just solid workflows. Solid workflows and template emails and those little things that might take a little time to set up.
Yes.
But once you set them up, then it's almost automated in a way.
Yep.
I don't have to think about it too much. I can multitask a lot better, even though there's really no such thing as multitasking. Our brain can only do one thing at a time. Some people can just do it a lot quicker than others.
Sure.
And so I'm somehow pretty good at that. I don't know.
So before we kind of close out the official or formal conversation interview,
so funny.
I know it is funny because we're just speaking. That I told you before I even got here. I said
I'm nervous.
We're just having a conversation as friends. Yeah, it's great. No, and again, I think you have so much to offer to the photography industry from this perspective.
I hope I've given some of it. I don't feel like. I mean, to me, I'm just being me and doing what I'm doing, but it's not rocket scientist. It's not rocket science, you know.
Well, the thing that I wanted to touch on, you mentioned yoga earlier, and I know you can share a lot on that. We actually was chatting with my friend Katie in the last podcast episode about yoga, but meditation is something that essentially...
I know that got you into it.
You introduced me to it. And I remember this has been, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago. We were texting, or maybe we had chatted on the phone, and you were just sharing what you had personally learned about meditation. I said, okay, you know what? I'm just going to do it. So I sat down, and I made the mistake. In my mind, I was thinking meditation, it's going to help me relax, and maybe I can sleep better at night, right? So I sit down and try to put into practice a little bit of what I had learned, including what you had shared with me. And I ended up with 10 minutes. I think 10 minutes I was just sitting there attempting to meditate. And I ended up so buzzed that I couldn't go to sleep. I thought I was going to relax and go to sleep. But anyway, it's kind of a funny introduction to meditation. Ultimately, I've seen incredible benefit from it. I can always stand to do it more and more consistently. But share a little bit about how you've benefited from... Actually, I'd be curious to hear you define meditation, and then how you've benefited from it on a personal and a professional level.
I don't know. About 20 minutes of meditation can be equivalent to 5 hours of sleep, and so they recommend not to meditate before you go to bed. It's more right before dinner. And to me, you know, when you try, well, the whole thing is to not try, but when you empty the brain down the road, you get a lot more downloads, and your body can recover more quick. So there's a lot of science behind it, and I'm a little out of practice right now, to be quite frank. But I love that I have the tools for it. There was a time a few years ago where I did meditate twice a day for 20 minutes, you know, upon waking up, and then right before dinner again. And that was a year that I felt really good, you know, and then life happened, right? I got sick or something happened, I don't remember, and I just stopped doing it. Right now, my meditative states are more in action, in motion, whether it's the yoga asana practice, which is what traditionally people think of yoga as, you know, going into weird positions, but that's only one limb of yoga, you know, and meditation is definitely one of them. The idea of yoga, in the positions, the active part of yoga, is to become still, you know, to actually sit and be able to meditate for a long time, to get all the kinks out of the body so your body can sit up straight and not hurt. That's one of the reasons why we do a physical practice of yoga. And I got off track. I don't remember your exact question with it.
Well, how would you define meditation? Because it's interesting. You talk about, I think you talked about sitting on your back porch and meditating in the past, but then now you're talking about the idea of your meditation being more action. So obviously, I
think meditation is really being kind of in the moment, you know, and any kind of distractions that come into the head, you acknowledge them, you wave at them, and you let them go. You say hi thought, bye bye, you know, and
which sounds so funny, but that concept, I finally embraced that in my attempt at meditation and a meditation practice, and it totally works. It's the idea, like you said, of here comes a thought, because there is that stereotypical impression that people have about meditation that you're supposed to, quote, clear your mind, which in and of itself is accurate or relatively accurate, but they're so focused on that idea and obsessing over the notion that they're not supposed to think about anything, right? That's how they see it.
Well, the style of meditation that I've been practicing is a mantra-based. Okay. A lot of people will know that as transcendental meditation. I was trained under the Vedic meditation, which essentially comes from the Himalayan mountains, you know, 5,000 years ago, where people would, you know, hike up to the monks in caves and bring them fruits and flowers, and they would learn how to meditate. I think that it does relax the mind, and you are able to become more active during the day when you do a sitting meditation. It's really powerful. I need to do it more, you know, and I encourage everybody to set a time for it. And I used to be all or nothing kind of person. If I don't have 20 minutes, I'm not going to do it. But now, even if you have 5 minutes, I think it can be really, really beneficial. Or say you're driving somewhere and you get somewhere early and you're in your car and you have 5 minutes, just sit, close your eyes, you know, focus, you know, you can maybe focus your mind on an object or on a color or on a mantra or on a word, and you just kind of effortlessly focus on that, you know. The hardest part of meditation is getting to the chair, sitting down. Once you're there, it's effortless. Once you're there, it shouldn't be hard. but it's getting there is the hardest part. But isn't that with everything? Like getting to the gym, what is that? That's half the battle, or more than half the battle. Once you're there, okay, we're here, let's do it. Let's act, right? And same thing with meditation.
Tim Ferriss talks about...
I love Tim Ferriss.
he talks about, and I'm not sure if this is his idea or something that he had heard, but talked about the fact that if you don't have 10 minutes in your day or 20 minutes in your day to meditate, then you're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
That you need to be meditating, ultimately.
Yeah.
But again, it's that proactivity and just the conscious choice to make time for that.
It's all priorities. Life is all about priorities, where the mind goes, energy. Where the mind goes, the energy flows. I love that little phrase. So whatever you're telling yourself, that's what's going to happen. I believe. I believe the mind is powerful. So, if I'm constantly like doing affirmations in my head or like focusing the glass is half full, then life is going to flow that way. I mean, look at Tony Robbins. I just talked about him 2 weeks ago, and then he comes in my life. I've been winning a lot of stuff too. I've won like 3 things randomly on Instagram. I haven't been on Instagram very much, but I feel like when you're living your authentic higher self and you're helping other people, stuff just comes to you. It's like giver's gain, right? You give and then it just comes back to you tenfold. And I think that's kind of beautiful, and that's how it should be.
I think that's a beautiful way to end it too.
Awesome.
Tell us what your website address is and how people can get in contact with you.
My website is my name. It's NicoleGoddard.com. And my Instagram handle is @NicoleGoddard. My new website will be launched like within days.
We're going to hold you to it.
Hopefully before I leave for Burning Man, I have to get my web developer like a login for something. But other than that, it should be good to go. I'm super stoked on it. I've been working on it literally for 2 years. Mostly just not knowing which images to put up. That's like the hardest part, right? But it's up. It's not going to be perfect, but it's going to be up, and I'm super happy about it. And I'm excited for how the rest of the year is going to pan out and see what my November and December looks like.
That's beautiful.
So, yeah.
All right, guys, check out Nicole's website, NicoleGoddard.com.
And my Instagram.
And your Instagram. And good luck at Burning Man. And,
Thank you.
And seriously, I have so much respect for what you've done to kind of create this freedom for yourself. And, well, kudos to your continued journey in that realm.
Nathan.
I think it's really beautiful.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks so much for listening to the Bokeh podcast. If you'd like to hear a particular photographer or entrepreneur in a future episode, don't hesitate to email me, nathan@photographersedit.com. The Bokeh podcast is brought to you by Photographers Edit, custom post-production for the wedding and portrait photographer.